So the other day, probably about 3 days ago, my wife started feeling bad, and I'm guessing it's flu or something like that, because she was feeling extremely achy and sleeping all day and feeling hot and kind of coughing and whatnot. So I decided to make some chicken noodle soup. Well, I say chicken soup because my kids don't really care for the noodles too much, so I just made those separately. But anyhow, I went to the grocery store, bought an organic chicken whole. What you see here in the video is I have my kid, my oldest child, here with me, helping me to cover the chicken with some water, and then what we're adding is some various chopped vegetables, including onion, um, celery. We just put some long celery stalks in there because I'm going to remove those here later on. Um, Carrots, garlic, that's chopped pretty broadly as well. And I think that's all the vegetables that we added. Just a decent amount of those. And then you're gonna see me add, or have my child add, a couple of like 3 bay leaves, and then a little salt and a little pepper. And then later on, I don't think I record this part, but I add a little garlic powder as well. So the supposedly the magic is in the broth itself. And I'm one who does believe that broth is a quite beneficial um liquid. It's one of those things where it enables you to get a lot of the nutrients that are inside of the bones, from the marrow and from the bones themselves. um but it's one of those things that you don't really see done a whole lot, but we've all heard the stories about grandma's chicken soup, being grandma giving chicken soup whenever somebody wasn't feeling that well. So I'm one of those who, that kind of stuff makes sense to me. But anyhow, do your own research as far as like the benefits of broth and all that kind of stuff are concerned. Anyhow, I know for me, whenever my wife kind of started coming, um, under the weather, then I was like, well, yeah, let's go ahead and make some broth and all that. I have other things I personally do as well, as far as like helping me to kind of stay well whenever folks in the house are not doing as well. Like come with a viral infection, like I'll mince up garlic cloves and I'll swallow those. But anyhow, when we're cooking the chicken, we add enough water in a big pot to just cover the chicken. I don't want it to be too diluted. I want it to be as much water as necessary just to cover the chicken so the chicken thoroughly cooks. And then from there, after you add in all the different ingredients and whatnot, basically you just cook it for a few hours. Okay, I think this one I cooked for about at least 2.5 hours while I did some other stuff. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, don't touch, don't let it splash. Yeah, you probably yeah. Go ahead, just put it in there. Yeah, like I said, don't touch the water. Hold on. So yeah, because again, you gotta remember it's raw chicken in here. All right. Now with this, well, I'm gonna help you with this, but we're just gonna kind of sprinkle this in there. So hold it. Okay, so now you see us adding the vegetables, the chopped vegetables that I was talking about earlier. The celery, onion, garlic, and carrots. And I think it's important to put those in there and let those cook in, because those, along with the beneficial properties of like the bone broth itself and the meat broth, those themselves kind of add a lot of their healing properties and their nutrients and stuff whenever they cook in too. And so, like I said, we cook though all of this stuff for a few hours, like 2.5 hours, and you'll see in the video at some point, after it's been simmering for a while, the liquid has kind of taken on a beautiful golden brown. you know, um, but anyway, it's kind of taken on the color of real broth and whatnot. Um, and so then what I did was I actually removed the chicken. I removed the main parts of the chicken. Some of it, may have kind of started to come apart, but it stayed pretty intact. So I was careful to remove the whole chicken, and I strategically removed the meat from the bone. And of course I did this with my hands. I did clean my hands. I was very sure to do that. But I strategically removed the dark meat from the bones and then added that back in. I tried not to have too big of pieces of meat um in the broth. I tried to make sure that the meat was kind of more or less bite sized and not big macro pieces of meat. So it'd be good consistency for the soup itself. And then just kind of broke it apart if it was too big and added it back in there. And it was at this point after I um added the dark meat back that I went ahead and I think added a little bit more like stuff like salt, garlic powder, and let it kind of simmer. It was basically time to eat at this point. And then, as I said separately, I boiled some egg noodles. Um, yeah, I boiled some egg noodles, and then I just added those just for those of us who actually wanted noodles, so that I wouldn't have to fight with my kids for eating the soup because of them being weird about the noodles. But yeah, yeah. So this turned out pretty well. You can kind of watch the rest of this and see how everything went. But it's very simple. If you have any questions or anything about how I did this, definitely go down in the comments and ask me. And I'm curious to know if any of you prepare chicken noodle soup, whenever somebody is ill and whatnot, to kind of help someone get better, and also to kind of help to keep everybody else well from those good old healing and medicinal, so to speak, properties of chicken noodle soup. Let me know in the comments. So one more thing I forgot to add is I added thickener to my chicken soup. I don't typically do this. A lot of times I just kind of let it be as is. But we had some cornstarch, and I wanted to kind of get a slightly thicker soup. Even with all the thickening I ended up adding, it still ended up being pretty thin, a little thinner than I wanted, but it still was good. But anyhow, it's got some cornstarch. The cornstarch that we buy, I specifically make sure that it's non-GMO, because we typically try to avoid genetically modified foods that we buy from the grocery store. And the brand that I buy, I can't remember what it is. I'm not up there where it is now. Um, but I make sure it's non-GMO because corn products tend to be genetically modified on average. Um, and so yeah, that's that. And so I got some cornstarch, put it in a glass, and then scoop some of the broth from the actual soup, put it in there, mix it up until it was like slightly thick, well, a pretty thick consistency, but not too thick. And then I added it to the boiling soup, and that was kind of like the finishing touch that I put on the soup to give it a good consistency and whatnot. And it turned out pretty good. My kids enjoyed it. My wife, enjoyed it, and got a couple of bowls of it. And yeah, good old chicken soup. Good old chicken soup. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/SeanB2B Fitness today.